Where do you think realistically we are with artificial intelligence? What will bad people do with this technology? AI can be very friendly, very benign, very empathetic. Let me start with you, Sam. I think most people are worried about two kind of opposite things about AI. One is it's going to end humankind as we know it, and the other is why can't it drive my car? Where do you think realistically we are with artificial intelligence right now? What is it? For you, what are the things it can do most effectively, and what are the things we need to understand that it cannot do?
I think a very good sign about this new tool is that even with its very limited current capability and its very deep flaws, people are finding ways to use it for great productivity gains or other gains and understand the limitations. So a system that is sometimes right, sometimes creative, often totally wrong. You actually don't want that to drive your car, but you're happy for it to help you brainstorm what to write about or help you with code that you get to check. And so we have
help us understand, why can't it drive my car?
Well, there are great self-driving car systems, but at this point, Waymos around San Francisco there are a lot of them and people love them. What I meant is like the sort of OpenAI style of model is good at some things, but not good at sort of like a life and death situation. But I think people understand tools and limitations of tools more than we often give them credit for. And people have found ways to make ChatGPT super useful to them and understand what not to use it for the most part. So I think it's a very good sign that even at these systems' current extremely limited capability levels, much worse than what we'll have this year, to say nothing of what we'll have next year, lots of people have found ways to get value out of them and also to understand their limitations. So, I think AI has been somewhat demystified because people really use it now. And that's, I think, always the best way to pull the world forward with a new technology.
The thing that I think people worry about is the ability to trust AI. At what level can you say, I'm really okay with the AI doing it, whether it's driving the car, writing the paper, filling out the medical form. And part of that trust, I think, always comes when you understand how it works. And one of the problems AI researchers have, AI engineers have, is figuring out why it does what it does. How the neural network operates, what weights it assigns to various things. Do you think that we will get there, or is it getting so inherently complicated that we are at some level just going to have to trust the black box?
So on the first part of your question, I think humans are pretty forgiving of other humans making mistakes, but not really at all forgiving of computers making mistakes. And so people who say things like, well, self-driving cars are already safer than human-driven cars, it probably has to be safer by a factor of, I would guess, between 10 and 100 before people will accept it, maybe even more. And I think the same thing is going to happen for other AI systems, caveated by the fact that if people are accustomed to using a tool and know it may be totally wrong, that's kind of okay. I think, in some sense, the hardest part is when it's right 99.999% of the time and you let your guard down. I also think that what it means to verify or understand what's going on is going to be a little bit different than people think right now. I actually can't look in your brain and look at the 100 trillion synapses and try to understand what's happening in each one and say, okay, I really understand why he's thinking what he's thinking. You're not a black box to me. But what I can ask you to do is explain to me your reasoning. I can say, you think this thing, why? And you can explain first this, then there's this conclusion, then that one, and then there's this. And I can decide if that sounds reasonable to me or not. And I think our AI systems will also be able to do the same thing. They'll be able to explain to us in natural language the steps from A to B, and we can decide whether we think those are good steps, even if we're not looking into it and saying, okay, I see each connection here, and I don't get to I think we'll be able to do more to x-ray the brain of an AI than x-ray the brain of you and understand what those connections are. But at the level that you or I will have to sort of decide, do we agree with this conclusion? We'll make that determination the same way we'd ask each other, explain to me your reasoning.
One of the things you and I have talked earlier, and one of the things you've always emphasized was that you thought AI can be very friendly, very benign, very empathetic. And I want to hear from you what you think is left for a human being to do if the AI can out-analyze a human being, can out-calculate a human being. A lot of people then say, well, that will, that means what we will be left with, our core innate humanness will be our emotional intelligence, our empathy, our ability to care for others. But do you think AI could do that better than us as well? And if so, what's the core competence of human beings?
I think there will be a lot of things. Humans really care about what other humans think. That seems very deeply wired into us. So chess was one of the first victims of AI, right? Deep Blue could beat Kasparov, whenever that was, a long time ago. And all of the commentators said, this is the end of chess. Now that a computer can beat the human, no one's gonna bother to watch chess again, ever. It's over. Or play chess again. Chess has, I think, never been more popular than it is right now. And if you cheat with AI, that's a big deal. And no one, or almost no one, watches two AIs play each other. We're very interested in what humans do. When I read a book that I love, the first thing I do when I finish is I want to know everything about the author's life. And I want to feel some connection to that person that made this thing that resonated with me. And, same thing for many other products, that humans know what other humans want very well. Humans are also very interested in other people. I think humans we're gonna have better tools. We've had better tools before, but we're still very focused on each other. And I think we will do things with better tools. And I admit, it does feel different this time. General purpose cognition feels so close to what we all treasure about humanity that it does feel different. So of course, there will be kind of the human roles where you want another human, but even without that, I think, when I think about my job, I'm certainly not a great AI researcher. My role is to figure out what we're gonna do, think about that, and then work with other people to coordinate and make it happen. And I think everyone's job will look a little bit more like that. We will all operate at a little bit higher of a level of abstraction. We will all have access to a lot more capability. And we'll still make decisions. They may trend more towards curation over time, but we'll make decisions about what should happen in the world.
When I look at technology, my fear is often, what will bad people do with this technology? But there are many people who fear this much larger issue of the technology ruling over us, right? You've always taken a benign view of AI, or relatively benign view. But people like Elon Musk and sometimes Bill Gates and other very smart people who know a lot about the field are very, very worried. What is it? Why is it that you think they're wrong? What is it that they're not understanding about AI?
Well, I don't think they're guaranteed to be wrong. I think there's a spirit. There's a part of it that's right, which is this is a technology that is clearly very powerful, and that we don't know. We cannot say with certainty exactly what's going to happen. And that's the case with all new major technological revolutions. But it's easy to imagine with this one that it's going to have massive effects on the world, and that it could go very wrong. The technological direction that we've been trying to push it in is one that we think we can make safe, and that includes a lot of things. It's we believe in iterative deployment, so we put this technology out into the world along the way, so people get used to it, so we have time as a society, our institutions have time to have these discussions, figure out how to regulate this, how to put some guardrails in place.
Can you technically kind of put guardrails in, write a kind of constitution for an AI system? Would that work?
If you look at the progress from GPT-3 to GPT-4 about how well it can align itself to a set of values, we've made massive progress there. Now, there's a harder question than the technical one, which is who gets to decide what those values are. And what the defaults are, what the bounds are, how does it work in this country versus that country, what am I allowed to do with it versus not. So that's a big societal question, one of the biggest. But from the technological approach, I think there's room for optimism, although the alignment techniques we have now, I don't think will scale all the way to much more powerful systems. We're going to need to invent new things. So I think it's good that people are afraid of the downsides of this technology. I think it's good that we're talking about it. I think it's good that we and others are being held to a high standard. And we can draw on a lot of lessons from the past about how technology has been made to be safe, and also how the different stakeholders in society have handled their negotiations about what safe means and what safe enough is. But I have a lot of empathy for the general and discomfort of the world towards companies like us and the other people doing similar things, which is like, why is our future in their hands? And why are they doing this? Why do they get to do this? And I think it is on us. I mean, I believe, and I think the world now believes, that the benefit here is so tremendous that we should go do this. But I think it is on us to figure out a way to get the input from society about how we're going to make these decisions, not only about what the values of the system are, but what the safety thresholds are and what kind of global coordination we need to ensure that stuff that happens in one country does not super negatively impact another, to show that picture. So I think not having caution, not feeling the gravity of what the potential stakes are, would be very bad. So I like that people are nervous about it. We have our own nervousness, but we believe that we can manage through it. And the only way to do that is to put the technology in the hands of people, let society and the technology co-evolve, and sort of step by step, with a very tight feedback loop and course correction, build these systems that deliver tremendous value while meeting the sort of safety requirements.
Stay with the Times of India for news breaks, analysis, interviews and events. We bring you stories from your neighborhood and from across the globe as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the like button and press the bell icon so you don't miss any of our videos.